Good afternoon. I'm Charlotte Wood, the Assistant Director at the Wilmington Memorial Library. Today's presentation, Welcoming the New Year with Optimism and Managing Unhealthy Thinking, is presented by the Wilmington Memorial Library in partnership with the Tewksbury, Andover, and Chelmsford Libraries. I'd like to welcome the patrons of all and anyone else who may be joining in. Libraries offer many wonderful programs, so be sure to check out the calendar of events at each so you don't miss out. Today's presentation is in a webinar format where the audience cannot be seen or heard, so please use the chat box at the bottom of your screen for questions and comments, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Sally Palmer, who's going to help you get the new year off to a good start. She's a mindfulness educator, yoga teacher, and owner of Revive Mindfulness. She has many years of experience doing this, so you're in good hands, and welcome, Sally.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining today, and Happy New Year. This is a great program to begin our new year with in regards to all that we've been experiencing through the last year or so. So I'm hoping that this can benefit all of you in one way or another. A little bit about me. I have been working with mindfulness and mindfulness teaching since 2010. I took this program myself in the community of Somerville and found that it was just remarkable and so profound in my own life. We all have our own stressors, and the way that we deal with them can be many. However, I have found out of all strategies and techniques that when you learn mindful awareness, you begin to change and shift the way that you think about your lives in many different ways. And we're going to experience that in this presentation today. I got my training at the University of Massachusetts Medical School Center for Mindfulness. It was a wonderful program where we enabled not only different practitioners, different business owners, physicians, psychologists, psychiatrists to partake and learn how they can work with their clients in a better way. But we also had the public participate. So that was a program firsthand where we were able to share and communicate with people of the community on their experiences, what they were feeling, what their lives were like, and how could they become more aware of themselves in body and mind. I've been working with kids all the way from kindergarten throughout high school years and beyond. I've also taught at assisted living programs, hospice programs, taught nurses, many different clinicians on how to become more aware with mindful training. The other program that I've gotten my certification in is with a program in New York called the Omega Institute, where mindful self-compassion and compassion are teachings that work in hand with the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. Also, teaching yoga has been a wonderful complement to this mind-body experience. So many of you, I'm sure, if you've been watching any of the morning programs like Good Morning America, any medical-based program, or if you've been online, mindfulness has been out as a buzzword for many years, even more so since the rise of COVID and the navigation through the pandemic. So you may have heard of it, may know a little bit about it, but not totally sure. So we're going to really look and delve a little bit deeper with this program today. And again, at the end of the program, when we're done with the slides, you can put your questions up there and we'll address them. I also offer my email that you can contact me with if there's something that you're not comfortable talking about. I offer myself as a consult for helping you clear up anything that might be unclear. So in general, the word mindfulness can mean many things. We know that being mindful is paying attention. It's a simple way to be able to explain it. But paying attention in a world that is so uncertain can be really difficult. And we all know what it's like to be pulled in many different directions and filled with a number of bits and pieces of information that are thrown at us every single day. Also, in regards to the use of technology, some of you may be very technology savvy, others are just getting into it a little bit more. So that alone brings its own stressors where we feel that we've always got to be connected one way or another. So if you're the type of person that is either using their iPhone or a Android, whatever technology, palm-based apparatus, you know that you're connecting. If you're on the cell phone and you're talking to people, that's another way. And then you've got the influx of media being thrown at you. That's a lot of information to be able to hold in your mindset. So we, at the end of our days, if you are the type of person that cannot disconnect or disengage, it's really important for you to know that these mindful strategies can really pave the way for you to start really looking at the way you've been living your life and how do you want to change it. We're in a brand new year, 2022. What does it mean for you starting a new year? And what hopes do you have going forward if there's something that you've been doing that you know hasn't been serving you well? Maybe being more mindful of that, more aware can be the beginning of that change. So this is all about bringing the quiet into our lives with all the noise that is happening around us. Can we learn to bring in some of the quiet that can provide some stillness that we so need? The experience that we've all been going through, if we look at it, when we talk about this as being normal or the new normal, think about it for a moment as what does this new normal mean to you? Think about your experience over the last year or so and what the changes have been that have brought you to the current state of mind. Is it something that has been alleviating your concerns, your fears, your worries? Or do you feel that it might be one and the same of when we first got into this over a year ago? This is a time for reflection. We know that life is not going to be as it was a few years ago. So how do we work with what we have here in the new normal? You've heard the experiences of stress that's affecting all ages. There isn't anyone, regardless of age, that hasn't felt different changes in their stress cycles. So it's really important for you to be aware of stress in your own lives. How is it affecting you? And how have you been dealing with it? We know that statistically, stress is on the rise. In the article that you have in front of you, you see that no one is fleeing the cycle of stress. So while we know that we are all in this together, we're all experiencing this in one way or another in community, we know that there is a way for us to deal with it in a healthy fashion. There are a number of different things that happen when we're feeling stressed. So in general, we can say we feel stressed. It's just a general term or an expression these days for just about everyone. But there are a number of different circumstances that go with the stress cycle. You really need to be mindful or be aware of what these changes may be and how are they affecting you. What do you notice about the physical body? Because stress causes inflammation, which can exacerbate a number of other conditions that we have. We may not realize it at the time, but this awareness that you can develop is really key. What about your emotional state of mind? Where are your thoughts? How are your emotions feeling in this situation? How do you deal with it? That's the most critical piece here is expression, feelings of physical and emotional changes, But what about coping? How are you dealing with it in these challenging times that we're all in? Just covering some of the emotions or physical experiences that you might be having here. Sometimes we might be feeling a symptom or feel that something just isn't right, but do you really stop to pause and wonder, is it in fact due to some of the extreme stress that you might be feeling? So take a look at the information on this slide and see if in fact you can relate or have you experienced any of these different symptoms. Many of us will feel something change, but we just push it aside and say, oh, it's nothing. I'm sure it'll go away. In these times of stress, it's really key for you, when you are aware of some changes, to be able to address them with the correct medical professional. Something that you might leave behind could be something that will stem to another circumstance affecting your health in a different way. So maybe there are some people that you know, friends or family, that may have complained about some of these things, but just feel that it's something that they don't have to be concerned about. Any type of physical change or change emotionally should really be addressed with concern. So as we continue to become mindful of how we're doing, these are things that would become easily discovered within yourselves. I sent around a stress charter, which you'll be able to receive at the end of the class. It will be distributed to you. And this stress symptom checklist is just something that you are able to do on your own. So as you go through different symptoms, you want to be really reflecting, go back even a year and see if there's a pattern of what you've been experiencing. Some of the physical symptoms might be new. Maybe you've been feeling them over the past year or more. Same with psychological. Be very mindful of how you really are feeling and what is your situation currently, and go back and reflect. When you total up both sides, you will get a number, and that is going to be your gauge as to where you fare with physical and emotional symptoms. See if you're feeling that you're at the high level. Maybe you really should be thinking about addressing that for your own personal health. So that'll be distributed at the end of the session. So we're going to just take a moment to just tune into how we're feeling right now. If you're comfortable, I'll ask you to close your eyes. If you're not wanting to close your eyes, just find a spot on the slide that you can lower your gaze. Let your body relax. Take a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your nose. And let's do this 2 or 3 more times. Relax your body. Inhale through your nose and out through your nose. 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Notice how you're feeling. Last time, once again, inhale and exhale. Now just take a moment to notice how that felt. What did you realize as you were focusing on your breath? Where were your thoughts? What was happening in your mind? Were you able to really feel the experience of the breath? Or was your mind busy ruminating and thinking over and over again. Now finally check in and notice how are you feeling? By doing that brief exercise, that is the start of you being able to bring the breath into your awareness. The stress that we all hold within our own mindset is all different. And intertwined with that, you may have found that you had some emotions. So this is a good time for you to just tune into yourself once again. How have your emotions been? How does it affect your thinking? What's been happening as you continue to feel emotions rise and fall? How have those things affected the way you think about your lives day to day? Take a moment now to just reflect on your emotions. Can you relate to some of these emotions? Fear, isolation, worry, anxiety, anger, frustration, loneliness. We have all at one time or another experienced many of these, if not all of them. Let's just take one of these excerpts. When we're fearful of the unknown, as we have been since the rise of the pandemic, what do you notice about yourself in the face of fear? How do you typically address it? Are you able to embrace what is here and make peace with it? Or are you trying to push it away and just saying everything will be okay? I'm not going to pay attention to it right now. What typically happens if we are pushing away something that is uncomfortable rather than accepting, we typically know what will happen. Pushing something away without embracing it usually allows it to reappear. It doesn't go away. It briefly is outside of our mindset, but we know that it will be back. So when we are
Sally, this is Charlotte. I'm sorry to interrupt. Your sound kind of went out for a while, and now we're hearing some thumping. I don't know if there's anything that's changed on your end in terms of your speaker. It's kind of periodic. You kind of faded out there, then you came back, but there's been a little bit of like sound coming from your speaker. I don't know if anything's changed on your end, but
no,
okay.
I haven't done anything.
Okay, well, let's continue, and I'll let you know if we have any more sound issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So what we're looking to do right here is finding calm in the face of fear. How do we address that when we are really noticing that we are out of sorts with things? This is a time to notice how your expression is in relation to fear. So just take a moment. How have you been with fear that arises since we have been all through this pandemic? Just take a moment to check in and notice your thoughts. So beginning to notice our thoughts is the key to the beginning of a mindful experience. We first need to be able to take our time and slow down and become still. We did that brief exercise with the breath work. So that was a time for you to just notice, were you able to stay with your breath, or were you noticing that the mind was wandering? Noticing right now, how are your thoughts at this point? Check in once again. Take a deep breath in through your nose, slow and steady out through your nose. Once again, check in and notice what's happening in your own mind at this time. If you have an expression of any type of fear, can you label what that experience is? How does it feel? As you hold that label of what your experience is, we're going to again begin with the breath. So holding that expression in your mind, notice the thought, take a breath in, inhale, notice what's here, and on the exhale, you're going to release it or let it go. Let's try that again. Inhale, notice what's here. Slow exhale, release it and let it go. So this is a way for us to be able to let go of our thoughts in the face of fear. Every expression of an inhalation, you notice what is here. And on the exhalation, you are able to release or let it go. Once again, this takes practice. This is something that is not going to be learned in a matter of one session. But when you bring this into your way of living, your lifestyle in general will begin to change, where you will be able to slow down and release the unhealthy thinking. How do you begin your day when the mind is typically off to the races? Think about how you began your day today. When you opened your eyes, where were you lost in thought? Think about what you were possibly thinking about. Did you put the news on immediately? Did you grab your phone and check in with any of the latest breaking news bulletins? What was happening when you started out, and how could that possibly be different for you going forward in this new year? If you were starting out right with the unhealthy thinking, you know that the rest of your day is possibly not going to go in the best fashion. So we have to know that we are only the ones who are in control of our thoughts. We have to recognize what's here, and we have to know that we are not our thoughts, and we have to be able to embrace them and take control. So this is something that's starting for the new year that you can do. If you're waking up and you're starting to be filled with worry, concerns, just really starting out in a negative point of view, you have to recognize that and say, hey, why am I thinking this right now? Do I need to be holding these thoughts? And that's the beginning of addressing the release of negativity. Another way for us to be able to reflect on our expression. This is a nice chart that people have been able to do to keep in control of their thinking and their thoughts. So on the left side, you'll see a list of negative thoughts. It's a time where we can chart on paper, is this something that I've been experiencing? Do you notice a pattern of this being in your mindset day after day? But how do we turn this around? How do we change and go into the positive, which is the only way for us to come out of this in a healthy fashion? So for every negative thought that we may hold, we know that we can turn that around into a positive. So just take a moment and take a look at what's on the list. Are you able to look at a thought that you had today or yesterday or maybe the last month that you've been finding is repeating day after day? Can you then look at the positive other side of that and find a way to navigate out? We don't need to look that far to be able to find something that we can turn some negativity into a positive. So just let's take, for example, if we have fear, we can possibly look forward to recognizing that fear and know that we can feel hope. We can be hopeful that better days are coming. So by being able to turn your thoughts into hopeful thoughts, you begin to feel a shift of what your experience is. And that can be said for any of these different adjectives into the way that we've been holding our thoughts in a negative way. We have to know that anything that we are feeling, we can flip and move into a positive direction if we allow the mindfulness to lead the way. Just being more aware can help us come through it. So we're going to do an exercise of really feeling the breath. If you have never experienced breath work, this is a very powerful antidote to all that we've been feeling that hasn't been keeping us feeling well. By keeping the awareness of breath, we allow ourselves to detach from unhealthy thinking, to be able to bring into the mind the calm, the sensation of the temperature of the breath, the way that it feels in our body, and how does it affect us overall in a state of calm. So breath work has been practiced for centuries. And if you've ever done any kind of breath work, whether it be in a yoga class, an exercise class, we know that when we take a deep breath in and release it, we begin to feel calm. And there's a lot of truth to that. So we're going to practice this and just get the experience and the expression of feeling this breath, being mindful of breathing. So once again, I'm going to ask you to take a very comfortable position in your chair. Relax your upper body. And we're going to once again begin to breathe in through our nose and out through our nose, where we're really paying attention to the breath in this way. Breathing in nice and slow. What do you notice about the temperature of the breath? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is it moist? Let that be your focal point of attention. Breathe in, notice what's here. Slow, steady breath coming out through the nose. And as you practice this breath work, notice your mind. Notice what's happening in your mind. Where are the thoughts? Are you able to let go of the thoughts with every exhalation? Focus on the inhale. And on the exhale, let go of anything that might be here. One more time, take a breath in, inhale. Notice what's here. Slow and steady exhale. Now take a moment to notice what was happening while you were experiencing the breath. Did you notice your mind was wandering? Were you continuously ruminating in thought that just got in the way of you being able to feel the breath. If that was your situation, not to worry. It's very common for these things to happen. But know that each time you're able to notice or be aware of what that experience is, if the thinking was negative, if you just felt that these emotions were getting in the way, you can return over and over again by using the breath. It's always here for you. So rather than say to yourself that it's not working or you don't think it's going to make a difference, you need to, again, be patient with it and allow yourself to feel the expression of the breath. And if you're able to do this on a regular basis, anytime during the day that you feel that the emotions are rising, that you're feeling tense, that you're feeling depressed, know that that calming breath will allow you to somehow allow those feelings or sensations to subside. And once again, to emphasize, when we are mindful, we are living in the present moment. We want to be right here and right now. And notice that if the mind wanders, you want to bring it back and just be here in the present moment. So, how do we continuously free our mind of all that we've been holding? We need to be able to notice moment to moment awareness of our thoughts and what is happening to us as we go through our day. So each time you notice that something is happening where you're filled with thought and you just can't seem to rid yourself of something that is not allowing you to be fully focused, being able to perform well in your day-to-day tasks, it's really key that you grab hold right then and there of what's happening. So even if you're in a situation, if you are working, or if you're in a situation that you need to get into that you know is going to cause stress to rise, you have that opportunity to be able to take a pause and take that breath. So it doesn't matter where you are, we all have the breath available. It's our inner resource. So maybe there are times, let's have an example of you're standing in line. And we know that that's happening a lot right now, is the capacity of waiting, being able to be patient, not losing our cool when we have to wait. That's a great time for you to practice using your breath. Because when you're feeling that frustration, if you are standing in line, maybe it's even at the grocery store, and you're noticing you're getting short-tempered or you're getting frustrated because it's taking too long, that's a perfect time for you to be able to work with your breath. So the next time you're in a situation, try that and see if it does help alleviate your situation. Another strategy of getting rid of negative thoughts that has worked very well with a number of people is to say them out loud. And sometimes your thoughts will sound ridiculous. They won't make sense to you. So if something appears and you're just not able to get rid of it, that is so negative, just say it out loud and then ask yourself, do I need to really be thinking about this time or in this way? Is this in fact true? Change your thought process by thinking of something that's amusing. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's something that you saw on a program that really struck your funny bone. Can you just deviate from the negative thinking and bring that image or that story into your own mindset? What about just really taking control of your thinking and saying, look, you're not going to control me. I'm in control of you. That has worked very well. So think about trying that as well. If you're ever lost in a negative thought, in a sense that you know that it's just been hanging around way too long, or it's a thought that you've had repeat over and over again, maybe you tell yourself, I will only allow this to be in my mind for a minute, and then I want this gone. That's taking control of what's here, noticing it right at the onset and nipping it in the bud to allow yourself to live the rest of your day in a much better light. Also, being able to change where you are. Going for a walk right now has just been really great in regards to enjoying. I know it's really getting colder, but we've had some great weather. Change your environment. If you're able to leave your surroundings safely, go outside or get into another environment to change your mindset. You'll notice that that can be very instrumental in how you're feeling about things. And also, of course, if there's someone that you can share your feelings with, by all means, that is such a great resource to be able to share how we're feeling. And you'll be surprised that in most times than not, that individual or individuals probably are feeling similar thoughts as you are. So know that we are not alone in this expression. How do we continue to feel grateful for our lives each day, even though the thinking has really been in the negative? How do we continue to know that we still have something to be grateful for? Even though we are all in the uncertainty day to day, we know that we need to be able to take one step at a time and just be here in the moment. Finding happiness in any way that we can, whether it's with a pet or a family member or someone that we can also help that might be less fortunate than we are, can really bring gratitude into our lives. There's a definite positivity and relationship between the two. So if you've noticed, if you've been grateful, or if you find things to be grateful of, you can find in turn that you are finding that you are more happy. So definitely try that out as well. And most importantly, we are always shifting our focus, and all that is happening that is negative, controlling our thoughts when we can, is just one way of working towards more gratitude and happiness. So once you notice that you've got that shift, applaud yourself for knowing that you're moving in the right direction. So we're going to do a little gratitude meditation. I've found that this has been very helpful as well. So if you want to just close your eyes for a moment or just lower your gaze, we're going to be able to feel, how do we shift our gratitude to bringing forward more positive attitude. Take a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your nose. Take a moment to focus on what is going on that is right. Take a moment to bring into your mindset something that is going right. Hold that positive image. By holding a positive part of your day, you'll be able to set yourself in a better mindset. Think about people in your lives that you are grateful for, people that you have love and compassion for. Include those people in our community, such as our healthcare providers, first aid responders, people that are there for us when we need to call on them. Bring that image into your mindset. Think about helping people that are less fortunate than we are. can we make a difference in the lives of these individuals? Be there for your friends who also need support. Are there people that might stand out that you could also help at a time that is difficult for them as well? By shifting our mindset into one that gravitates towards gratitude, we can open up a number of different possibilities of empathy and positivity of our own emotions. Finding time for self-care has never been more important. So at this time, just ask yourself, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Are you allowing yourself to take a moment to be able to have that time to find stillness, to go for a walk, to sit down and read a chapter of a book that you've been meaning to pick up but have found delays in one way or another? What can you do to promote better self-care that you haven't done for yourself over the past year? In this new year, we all have an opportunity to be able to bring the good into our lives. We also want to be able to notice that the negativity that we feel in the mind can affect the body. There's an exercise that will be distributed to you called the body scan. This is a wonderful exercise that allows you to be able to feel total relaxation and calm throughout the entire body, from the top of your head down to the toes. So we're just going to experience just a brief format of this, since we're all sitting in our chair at this time. But I really hope that you'll try this when you're lying down on your bed or on the couch or on the floor, wherever you're most comfortable. This total relaxation has been known to be able to help with difficult sleep situations. So if you do have insomnia, if you find that you can't just release tension at the end of your day, this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to relax the body as a whole. So we'll just do a brief run through this by closing your eyes. Relax your body. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Slow and steady exhale out through your nose. Begin noticing the breath moving from the top of your head down through the body. So with every inhale, imagine the breath is moving down through the face, down through the upper torso, down the arms to the fingertips, down through the sits bones and lower belly, down through the back. Notice the breath moving down through the legs, down through the shins and calves, and out through the feet to the toes. Take a deep breath in. Send the breath down through the body. One more time. Inhale. Slow release of the breath down through the body. And just take a moment to notice how that felt. Did you feel a release of any tension or tightness? By relaxing the body as a whole, you will notice not only will it have an effect on the muscles, but it will also have an effect on the mind, because the direction of focus, when you tune into the body as a whole, you're able to detach from your thinking. So this is something that you can also start embracing in your day in this new year. We all have an opportunity to find happiness in the new year by being able to really tune into what we need to do for ourselves, to be able to control what we can and let go of that we cannot, by being mindful, by using these mindful strategies that we've just learned in this brief session. You'll notice that you are on the road to change. So why don't we all embrace all that we've learned here, practice, and really notice how your day's going from this moment on. And know that we are able to move from the mode of unhealthy thinking to positivity with mindful awareness. Thank you, everyone, for joining in this session. And I wish you all a very happy, healthy New Year 2022. Thank you.
Sally, I want to thank you very much. There's some no questions that I've seen, but there are comments, very informative, lovely, calming. Many thanks. I feel the same way. Thank you so much for giving us some ways of changing our thinking. I'm certainly going to put some into practice. And again, this program has been recorded. So if anyone needs a refresher or has, if you want to share it with friends, it will be up on the Wilmington website tomorrow under our events, and then it'll say recordings underneath that. So that's where you'll be able to find it. So Sally, again, thank you so much.
You're
and thank you
welcome.
everyone for attending. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. And Happy New Year to everyone. Bye-bye.